And a good day to you, Explorer Nation. John Lynskey, your ambassador of Alumni Affairs, here with season 7, lucky number 7, episode 1 of Looking Back with Lynskey. We got a new look, new year, all these good things. New is the theme of today, actually. And once again, a constant, we are proudly sponsored by Albert Barthélemy and family. Thank you, Albert. Speaking of new, our guest today, numero uno, from the great class of 2000, 2 decades as an explorer, educator, and coach. His list of accomplishments are tremendous. 5-time state champion, 4 times as a coach, 1 time as an athlete, a cornerstone of Castways Against Cancer, tremendous AP world history teacher. But now the new gig, the director of faith and mission, the one and only. He's got a big challenge in front of him, and he's more than up to it. Let's welcome Mr. Eric Pino. Eric, thanks for being here, brother.
Hey, John, good to see you. Yeah, it's
You
funny.
know, this is the second time, but it feels like the first time that we've done this. So the last time was more athletic focused and everything, but we know what today is all about. So, Eric, after 2 decades, like I said, you've done so many things. You're on the Sports Hall of Fame selection committee. The list goes on. Was this a job, a calling, whatever, that you wanted? Did you go out and find it, or did it find you, or was it somewhere in the middle? Talk about that.
Yeah, no, I became a teacher to be a teacher. I've always wanted to. I've never seen myself moving out of the classroom. Administration was never on my radar, and being a director was not. I love teaching. I became a teacher to be with kids, and so when Jerry stepped down, I asked Dave Pugh if I could be on the selection committee to find Jerry's replacement. And after reporting to a few of those meetings and going through the process, call it the Holy Spirit started to speak to me, and I saw this as a void I could fill and excel at. And I thought some of my Castaway experience and some of my in-classroom experience would make me good at this. And it interested me because it's a kid-facing role, right? It's not a parent-facing role, or so I could still be with the kids, which is my goal of being a teacher, in a different way, maybe a more important way, right? So that's why it spoke to me. And then I found myself, I recused myself from the selection committee, and with a lot of people behind me and encouraging me and being in my ear and making me believe in things, I applied, and it was an enjoyable experience, and here I am.
Yeah, and you're stepping into big shoes. Jerry, brother Ken, brother Brady, Doc Dugard. We've had a tremendous series and various types of individuals that do things in various types of ways, their own way. And now it's on you. And it's it is a transition going from classroom teacher to a new role. But you, as you put it perfectly, you're still facing the students. So let me ask you, Eric, I know you're just hitting the ground running. You did a great job last week with the opening of school and all that. What's your primary goal out of the box, Eric?
Yeah, so that's something I had to think a lot about when I was going to apply for the job. Why do I want to do this, right? Like, what am I trying to do? And I think, I guess 2 things, right? Number one is to meet the kids where they're at. I think it's important. These kids are coming from all walks of life, maybe a little bit different than when we were students here, when I was, and definitely when you were. And it's to meet them where they're at. We're all on different parts of our faith journey, and we can't expect them to rise to the top. So every time I converse with a kid, much like in the classroom, if the kid doesn't know the basics of World War I, you start at the basics, right? If the kid's more advanced in World War I, you talk about some more interesting stuff. So meet them where they're at is number one. And I would say number 2 is creating what I'm calling right now lifelong disciples, right? We got them for 4 years, and in 4 years they leave, And then what happens? A lot of us stay with the faith. A lot of us kind of make our way through college like this, and then maybe come back to the faith when they have kids, which is a position where I'm in right now with young kids. But I'd like to plant a seed that keeps them faithful through their college years and sets up success in a faith life for their adult years. So meet them where they're at, create lifelong disciples would be two things.
Meeting them where they're at, and where we're at is, yes, to your point, completely different than when I was in school and largely when you were in school. I'd say when I was at Columbus, 95% of us came from Catholic elementary school. That number was still significant when you were a student. Now, 25 years later, here we are, you know, half our kids come from public schools. So it's a different challenge. And with that in mind, Eric, I think with kids that don't have a religious background necessarily, talk about, and I think you understand what I mean by this question, talk about spirituality versus religion, or spirituality and religion, however you want to approach that.
Yeah, this is something common that kids say. I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I hear from adults too, right? People our age that I hang out with, and I think there's value in both, right? I view the spirituality part as the self journey, the journey within.
Okay.
We all manifest our faiths in different ways, and we all pray in different ways, and that spirituality is what defines who I am, right? That's what makes me the Catholic I am, the Marist that I am. The religion part is where these great debates happen about church and structure and things that happen, I feel, on the outside of our school walls, or maybe in the academic discussions that we have. And I'm meeting kids, I feel like, on the spiritual side of things. I want to spiritually walk with them. Okay. And if we want to, if we want to discuss some structural things of the church, there's conversation for that. But I'm here to walk with you on your faith journey, on the highs and the lows, and share my spiritual experience with their spiritual experience. That's where I like to focus on.
You know, pendulums swing in everything. 50 years ago, when, you know, I was whatever, a sophomore, I guess, it was the height of the Godspell movement.
Right.
You know, Godspell was everywhere, and that genre of instructing religion, you know, the acoustic guitars, the singing, the kind of tying into the era. And then it swung the other way. And now I think the Marist brothers, the Catholic Church, Columbus, everyone is seeing more of a need to get back to your perfect phrase, meeting the kids where they are. And it's an interesting time to be campus ministry leader.
Yeah, it is. If I just come in here assuming that the way I do things is the way that they do things, I'm misleading myself, right? But the good thing about our school is that we have a very diverse faculty.
Yeah.
The reality is that we're all campus ministers, right? And there's so many outlets for these kids to talk to so many guys that went to school here and walk this walk, that I hope there's I don't know, an outlet for them all. My partner here, Alex Jesner, who sits back here with me, me and him expressed our faith lives very differently. But there's the cool thing about our faith is that Jesus Christ is the center of it all, right? And how you express it is up to you. And I want to offer diverse ways to pray, diverse ways to converse and celebrate our faiths, whether it's through liturgies or different types of retreats, spiritual accompaniment that we offer here. We have Bible studies. These are all different ways that people manifest their faiths. And I think it's important to meet all these kids along their way, because if we want them to sit and just listen, it doesn't really work, right? If I could turn my screen real quick, we've created, my office has like a gathering table over here with a screen over there where our boys are going to come and hang out with us. We want this to be a kind of like a SAC office, but for faith. We want like-minded individuals to come here, hang out, and just have healthy conversation, whether it has to do with faith or not. We want this to be a gathering place for them. and then hopefully they get comfortable with us in this atmosphere, and then we could get them on retreats and get them to pray the liturgies with us.
It's so funny. That was then, this is now. We did the same exact thing. The campus ministry office was a hangout place, and it was very welcoming. And I think that's very important. You were a great coach. You had a lot of success, but as you know, a coach is only as good as his staff. So you've got a very eclectic, interesting mixture of people involved with campus ministry. You've got old school traditionalists, you've got young guys, and you're sort of in the middle. Talk a little bit about your team, if you would.
Yeah, I'm pumped. The first thing that comes to mind is we have 4 brothers on our team, which I think is awesome, right? I always thought by this time there might be a notably less brother presence in campus ministry.
Yeah.
But we have 4 brothers: Brother Brady, Brother Tom Long, Brother Al, Brother Peter Guadalupe, 5, and Brother Didis, who's 28 years old.
Yeah.
Right? So we got from Brady and Peter to Brother Didis. I think that's great for the kids, right?
Yeah.
And then we have Ada Allegret here, who's a veteran of this and fits a certain grandmotherly role for these kids, and the freshmen get to discuss with her. And then I got Alex Jezrin. I brought in Aneris de la Hoz from the Spanish department, and she's going to head our liturgies, and she has charisma and creativity. And so, I'm trying to pull from all these different directions that, again, we could celebrate, we could offer a variety of discussions and celebrations for these kids.
And our student population is so diverse. It's important that our faculty, and in this case, campus ministry, reflects that. And you've put together a good team, and everybody's getting to know each other. Some have known each other longer than others. And, it's an interesting time to be you. Let's step back for a second. I just thought of something.
And I just thought of something too. If I could interrupt,
Okay.
I left out 2 people, and I think it's part of what you mentioned earlier. Jerry Gonzalez, who was in my position before me, he remains in our department as well, and he'll be working with seniors. So
Okay.
That's a 14 years veteran director of campus ministry who's now with the boys. And we also have Deacon Dr. Dugard, who's part of our department, leading mass. So in my department, we have Brother Brady, Dr. Dugard, and Jerry, who are the 3 previous campus ministers. So it's not these guys stepped down and they went away. These guys stepped down and stayed in the same department ministering to our boys. So there's a lot of experience here.
Continuity helps.
Yep.
No question. No question. You were a great AP teacher, AP World. I just, from a teacher point of view, was there anything you wanted to teach that you never got the chance to teach?
No, my first gig here was being a world history teacher, and I've done that since day one. So 20 years of world history teaching, whether it's what we used to call phase 2 in the beginning and has changed to accelerated college prep, honors, and then even AP. So I love world history. I love traveling. I love cultures. I love talking about race and ethnicity and some subjects that people consider taboo. I think it's just healthy, good conversations that sometimes kids don't have. So world history is my thing. It's what I enjoy. So it's great.
Cool. So
that is so big. I can talk about so many things in that one subject. So that's what I love about it.
Cool. So you walked away with no regrets from the classroom. That's awesome. Let's talk about that. The world. You did go on a sojourn for a while there in your early years at Columbus. You literally traveled the globe. You saw a lot of things. You went to a lot of places. You had a lot of experiences. How did that help you as a teacher? And how do you think it's going to help you as a campus minister? Because you saw all cultures, all religions, all everything. And you came back a different guy, as well you should have.
Yeah, I taught here for 1 year. And then I spoke to Brother Pat, and I asked for a year off, and he said, I can't guarantee you a job, but I wouldn't pass up this opportunity. So I took a year off teaching, and I circumnavigated the globe. And it was going to be a 1-year trip. I was out there for 6 months for some family reasons that I had to come back for. And I've been to nearly 60 countries in my travels, on all continents except for Antarctica, I believe. Yep. And so, I had a blast. It was an amazing experience for me. I went on my own, just a backpack, and we let it rip. And it was an amazing experience. My pictures in a practical way for the classroom are great. A picture of the Coliseum's that much cooler when Pino's in front of the Coliseum, right?
Yeah.
When there's a monkey approaching me and we're in, I don't know, Nepal, right? And I could show a picture of me in Nepal. I think that's pretty cool. So in a practical way, that was awesome. And then just, yeah, when you've heard it and you've smelled it and you've touched it, that goes a lot further than the book. I'll say with a caveat, John, I remember when you taught me, I thought you had been to Vietnam numerous times. So you were able to go above not being there and bring that to life. And that's something I don't think I would have been able to do, except that I had gone to these places. And I think that really added to my teaching strategy. And I think kids found it cool, right? This guy jumped in a backpack. So many kids have come back to me since graduating and say, hey, I went backpacking because you showed me those pictures. Or I have kids, Adrian Bashar, a recent graduate from a year ago, he's calling me, he's trying to plan out his trip around the world, right? And so that's a pretty cool way to relate to your kids. And then also, yeah, these cultures, man, we talk about Hinduism and Islam and you could read the academic part of that. But if you read the academic story of Catholicism, that's not representative of the practice of our faith. So sometimes if you just read about Islam, that's not the practice of Islam. So being able to be in Muslim countries or Hindu countries was amazing. It was amazing to see their expression of faith and to see just what they do culturally. In India was just a mind-blowing experience for me. Just so many people and so diverse and so like its own microcosm, its own life, right? The Indian subcontinent. So fueled my teaching and hopefully inspired kids through those teachings to learn and hopefully one day to travel, because I think that's the ultimate teacher.
I couldn't agree more with that. And one thing I noticed, and I think it's great in the religion department, other religions are taught and discussed, and the similarities. For example, you said Nepal. The similarities between the principles of Buddhism and the principles of Christianity, they overlap. And in today's world, in today's Columbus, I think that's vitally important. And kids can find their way. Oh, well, that works here and it works over here too. And so we all are one big spiritual family. And, I just sense a positive change in how we're approaching things. Now, close. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, man. I come from as you say that, I come from a very diverse family. I was raised Catholic, and my brother married a Muslim lady from India, and we have atheists in my family, and we have agnostics, and we gather in my household. We gather for Pino Thursday every Thursday, and we break bread together, and we have wonderful discussions about faith or lack of faith, and we all have a place at our table. And to your point, we have a diverse school here. I have a diverse family. That's the reality of our world today. And if we could find common bonds that bring us together, I think that's utterly important. So that's something I'm trying to do here on property.
It's very important. There's enough separating us right now. We need to find a way to come together. Speaking of family, and this is pretty cool because so much at Columbus is intertwined and incestuous and everything else. Your wife, Mary Beth, is the campus ministry leader at Lourdes. You can't get any more intertwined than husband and wife and Lourdes in Columbus. How much? It's a simple question. How much did she influence you in your decision to take on this role? And how are you guys looking forward to working together as professionals?
Yeah. I told her I joined the search committee, and then I would report back after my search committee conversations. And then I went to the first one. I was going to the second one. I was talking to her, and I was just kind of, spitballing with my wife. And she's the one that said, why don't you propose this? Why don't you guys think outside the box? And maybe this might be a better idea. And that got me pen to paper and working, showing her drafts and going back and forth with her. Columbus is a much bigger school than Lourdes. And we have a really bolstered department as over there. They only have 2 or 3 people in there. And she was basically living out her dreams of building out a large department. So she's the one that helped me build this out. And then as we're done, she's like, Eric, I kind of think that's you, right? And that's not what we were working towards. But at the end, it was obvious to me and her that, hey, maybe this is my opportunity to apply for this job that I had started to propose. And yeah, she's my rock. I would not have applied if I did not have her by my side as support, as a resource, because I am a history teacher at heart. So she's done this. She went to school for this. This is always what she studied and always wanted to be. So she's my support. She's this is what we go home and we spitball about. And she's been phenomenal throughout the entire process. And yeah, we want to bring Lourdes and Columbus together. How can we do that? We're working through that. But I think there's a great opportunity to bring our kids together, whether it's in a traditional retreat or whether it's at a school experience like Laudato Si type stuff, where we go out to the Everglades and we take the boys and girls for a hike and we just appreciate the goodness of God out in the Everglades through, I think they call it eco-spirituality. These are ways that I think we're going to try to collaborate together starting next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier a place at the table for everybody. Since you've been in Columbus, particularly in the last X amount of years, when you got involved with the Castways and everything, you have been one of those guys, one of those people that believes in the value of socializing, planning gatherings, getting together, because that's where bonds are formed. And I'm looking at marshaling over your shoulder, and the table was incredibly important to him, obviously. And talk about why you make a concerted effort to do that, because it's not easy being the organizer all the time, and it's like herding cats to get people to show up, and making sure Mr. O'Brien doesn't get lost and things like that. But seriously, talk about the value of a table.
Yeah. Again, our faith is diverse. There's value at church celebrating the Eucharist. There's value in intentionally retreating and going on an encounter. But there's also value in being in someone's home and sitting around a table where everyone is equal, or just come as you are.
Come as you are. Yeah.
Come as you are. So I'm going to hit on two things here. Yeah. So there's something called the Marche Champagne, which is a group of people who want to intentionally live out their faiths. And I don't know why it hit me, but I started to offer prayer gatherings. We do one in school a month, but then I started to open up my house and invite people over my house for a potluck style dinner where we just come hang out in the backyard, shorts and t-shirt, enjoy each other's company. Then we sit down for a planned prayer, whether it's bringing in a guest speaker or me leading it or someone else leading a prayer experience, and then breaking bread together and sticking around, having drinks, and just, again, like-minded individuals, having a good time. Because this should be fun. Our faith is our life, and life is wonderful, and life is fun. And if we make it a pill, that's not how I express my faith. So I want people to come to my house and hang and talk about our faith and say a prayer together and then have a good time. OB says about the Castways, if they ain't having fun, they ain't coming back. And pretty simple. So that's the goal. When I hosted and other people hosted, Brother Al used to host them at the brother's house. So that's the intention behind my house. Recently, I had, just talking about setting the table, we had 450 freshmen come on a retreat. It was the first thing they did as Columbus students, is they came on the We Are Marist retreat. And that retreat ends with something called setting the Marist table. And it starts with an empty table in the middle. And then there's a script being read in the form of a prayer. And we start dressing the table, a plain tablecloth, plates, napkins. And we start putting all these things on. There's two things there that really hit me. One of the things that gets put on the table is nails. And the brothers used to sell nails to make some money back in the day. But to me, that's my laptop. When I get home, my family eats together every night. And when I get home, there's usually a laptop on the table because I get home from work or I'm working, and then it gets closed and it's dinner time. But my work comes home with me, but it all gets set aside for prayer, for mealtime and meal prayer. So I always like that part of setting the Marist table. And then my bin of setting the Marist table is usually missing a few things, not by design. But lately when I've been doing it, there's been 2 forks and 2 knives. So we can't even set a table for 4, even though there's 4 plates. But I've kind of embraced that. And what I tell the boys is, we're still going to eat, man, right? There's only 2 forks. We're going to break bread. We're going to laugh. And we're all going to get sustained by this meal, whether there's 2 forks or no forks. So yeah, that's the idea of the mayor's table. We're going to bring a potluck dinner to Pino's house, and if the main course burns, we're still going to have a good time and have some drinks and pick at, I don't know, a cold shrimp, right? But we'll be there intentionally to express our faith, and I think that's the point.
And to your point, at an all-boys school, there has to be an element of fun.
Yep.
It can't be a no fun zone with 1,700 boys. That's just, it's not what we're about. But when you can tie spirituality into having fun, I mean, that's a home run.
Yep.
It is. And so how are you going to approach Encounter, Eric? Because Encounter, to me, and you know this, you go as an adult, and in theory, you're there for the kids. You end up being there for yourself.
Yeah.
So talk about your game plan for Encounter.
Yeah. So yes, people go on Encounter, and you go when you're ready for it, when it's your turn, and you go, and it is an experience that you will always remember. And I'm part of the alumni men's faith group called the Anchored Flames, and so many of the guys who go there and express their faith life call back to Encounter. That seems to be the not the starting point, because our faith starts before that, but that seems to be a benchmark point in their story. Sorry, the door knocked.
Relating back to the Encounter.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we're gonna be offering I think it's 7 encounters this year, right?
Okay.
So we're increasing the offerings of encounters, and we want to give these guys an opportunity to get there. If it conflicts with the schedule early on in the year, we want to make sure that there's all these opportunities for them to come. So I'm excited for that. And then when they're there, I think you hear this a lot when you hear about Emmaus, which is a common retreat program that people experience right now. A lot of Columbus alumni, and when you get there, you come with a plan on what's going to happen, and then that's not what unfolds. What unfolds is what the Holy Spirit has in store for us. So I think the Encounter program is great. It's been revamped a little bit on the provincial level, and I think we're going to pull some elements of what they do in the province in New York and implement it. But we all remember the wall. Brother Ken read the wall to me. Brother Ken's back here on our wall. This was in our office when I took this over. But yeah, I remember Brother Ken's voice in the wall, right? And it was a moment to come to terms with your past and where you stand, and then there's moments of celebration and then reconciliation, and adoration. Again, a presentation of so many ways to express your faith. But I want these kids to come and enjoy, and then tell their boys about it, so that it becomes part of the experience. I think COVID did major damage on many parts of our lives, but I think on church it did as well. That was people stopped attending mass at the same frequency. We're just talking about some stats in here the other day, and I think there might have been a lull in retreat going due to that, right? I want to bring that back, pre-COVID experience where people were itching to go on retreat, and that was a rite of passage here at Columbus, because the product offered on Encounter is a phenomenal product and an intentional moment to step away as a 17 and 18-year-old man. Think about being 17 and 18-year-old, John, and having 3 days to step away and to deal with some stuff right before you head off to college, right? So I want to keep offering it, and I want to make it as I wasn't saying intense, but it's not intense. It's just here's that table, here's that plate. Make of it as you wish, and let's face these things that maybe you've been storing away because you're too busy with AP classes or sports. And let's go, baby. 3 days. Let's rock.
It's an opportunity.
Yep.
It's an opportunity.
Yep.
Now, your campus miniature, but our campus is not just a physical thing. It's an existence thing. And you mentioned it in passing, and let's drill down. Anchored Flame and the Alumni Retreat that we had last year. I was astonished. I'll use that word very often. Astonished at the visceral emotions at the Alumni Retreat last year. I mean, there was some big, strong, tough dudes that were breaking down, and it made me realize that, I don't care how old you are. spirituality is very important, and having a foundation is very important. And to your point, I don't know how many times I heard guys say, this reminds me of the encounter. It takes me back, and man, did I need this. And I think part of your job, part of our job, is to make sure that the campus ministry experience doesn't end when you graduate. And I look forward, particularly in my role, to bringing these guys back and allowing them to dip back into those days, because man, that alumni retreat was off the chain, bro.
Yep. Yeah, Gabe Rodriguez is on the alumni board. He's been a great asset to me, organizing these types of events and brainstorming these events. That retreat was awesome. Jerry asked me to be a lead on that before any of this director stuff happened, and that was a real privilege. Rick Gonzalez gave a real powerful testimony there. Rick was the father of Connor, who ran for me, and I was coaching Connor when Rick was going through his cancer battle, right? And that testimony just brought me back to what these kids go through here from the other side, right? I saw Connor's life, but hearing it from Rick was a powerful thing. But yeah, to your point, there's a diverse group of guys who showed up here. Some physically intimidating, and some are some guys who get things done out in the workplace and in Columbus. And it's cool to see us all come down to the same level, sit at a round table, and just be vulnerable, right? I like the word vulnerable, right?
Great word.
Table, and I think that's the basis of a good faith experience, is being willing to put it on the table.
That's a great word. And I'll tell you, there was a guy who showed up, and I had him in class. I don't know, he's around your age, give or take. And he said, man, I haven't been anywhere near a church since I left Columbus. I don't think about God. And he says, I don't even know what I'm doing here, but I'm here, and this is the best thing that happened to me. And as we always said on Encounter, if it changes one kid's life, then it was successful. Alumni Retreat, it changed at least one guy's life in a completely different direction. And that's where the gratification and satisfaction comes from, knowing you do have an impact. Yeah, you can be a great teacher and you can get them to learn this, that, and the other thing. But when you get them here, that's a keeper.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that opportunity. Even 3 days here, I'm always impressed with who walks through that door and just wants to be vulnerable and talk and just needs someone to talk to. And being in this office means I'm often the guy that they're going to want to come talk to and be honest with, right? And to your point, at going back to Anchored Flames, the first testimony given at the first meeting was from a man who walked away from the church and was a vowed atheist, and to that point hadn't been around a church forever. And then something strangely brought him to a church, and it was open, and that's where he sat. And here goes his life journey as he comes back to the faith. And we want to keep presenting these opportunities to the alumni, to the parents, and most importantly, to our students.
Yeah, it's a challenge, but it's a great challenge. What has surprised you the most thus far? Albeit it's been a brief but very intense period for you. Anything jump out at you right out of the gate?
Today's day 5, so of school, right? So really early on, but there's a lot of work done on the front end leading up to this. We had two weeks of teachers here, where we're the Faith and Mission Office was in charge of a lot of things. I went in late July in preparation for this job. I went up to Esopus, New York, which is where the Marist brothers are based out of. And I took 15 of our boys up there to something called Leadership Camp. And I didn't know these kids because I wasn't involved in campus ministry last year. And I had to pick kind of from a spreadsheet and kind of from some names I knew and asking some teachers. And I show up to the airport, and there's 15 guys with me and Brother Didis and Alex Jezer. And we fly up to New York. We go to the Marist property, and we spend 5 days there. So 2 things. The 15 guys that came, remarkable young guys, right? I don't know how we picked them, like I said, but I'm glad we picked those guys. And hearing those guys, their witness talks and preparation and their small group discussions says, man, this is going to be good. We have quality leaders and I know we like to complain about the youth a lot. They're top-notch kids, driven, open-minded, and that was really impressive. The second part of that trip that really impressed me was there was, I don't know, 125 kids there from 10 schools around the province. So from Eugene, Oregon to Texas, Chicago, Montreal, and the Northeast for the most part. That's what made up, again, the same tone. 125 kids, unbelievable kids, leadership-wise, faith-wise. I sat back, I'm like, this is going to be good. We just got to go fishing for them in our hallways. But when we laid it in front of them, the kids are awesome in leadership. And just as kids, man, we just got to meet them where they are. And then they'll give us a lot.
Yeah. And I've noticed there has been a resurgence in Marist youth, which is, you get a kid to come to something religious on a Tuesday night, something's going right. And that, again, Fred, spreads the flame of what you're trying to do here. So,
quick love story on that note. So yeah, when I used to be a life leader when I was here, and I ran the life youth group is what we used to call it, living in faith experience. And to get our kids part of that program, the leaders, we would take them, instead of to Esopus, we'd take them to Texas. And I went out there. I was traveling around the world. I had just gotten back from Central America. I landed in the airport and I waited in the airport, and I got back on a plane with our boys and Dr. Dugard, and we took off to Texas. And I was a big bus picks up all the adults that are going to run this retreat, and I'm sleeping in the back because I was just going at it for 2 weeks in the middle of Central America. And we stopped for lunch. I wake up. We're sitting at the barbecue joint, and some of the adults were sitting there eating, and it turns out the lady sitting right across from me will eventually become my wife, Mary Beth Pino, because she was chaperoning her girls from St. Louis, Missouri's Narings Hall, and she was the moderator for their life group. So my wife was my rock. I met her on Marist Youth Preparation out in the middle of Texas for a 10-day wonderful experience, 3 days with just the adults, where we all got to know each other and had, again, like-minded quality discussions. And then the boys showed up, and they were there for another 7 days with us. And that was the beginning of my wife and I's relationship.
Some things are meant to be. Yeah. They just are. God works in funny ways. Yeah. And even a blind squirrel finds an acorn, and you did, Eric. You outkicked your coverage, bro. Congratulations.
I nailed it.
This is, I don't know, Melissa and I have been doing this 7 years now, and I don't know how many, asked this question hundreds of times, and there's never a wrong answer, okay? But there's always a different answer, and that's what I enjoy so much about this question. You've done a lot. You've seen all kinds of things. Your experience in Castways, that's a whole nother story. But again, that's unity. But it all comes down to one word, and that word is Marist. So what does being Marist mean to Eric Pino?
It always, right, it's Marial, right? It's a devotion to Mary, and we know Mary's relevance to Marcelin. When I think about Marist, I think about approachability. I think about the brothers, right? I had Brother Martin and Brother Ken and these guys, and it means, again, keep going back to this, meeting them where they're at, right? The Marist approach is practical, and it's at level, right? It's at sea level. And Brother Didis works out of this office a lot, and he hangs out here with me, and he embodies this Marist identity of just being with the kids at their level, approachable, committed, and faithful, man. Marcelin's story is a remarkable story, right? He's a struggling student, right? And he gets lost in the snow, and he sees a dying young boy, and it breaks his heart. And this love for kids and passion to make Jesus Christ known and loved, if that drives what me and the department do, I think we are executing the Marist mission.
What you just said, if you really think about it, it's funny how things work out. Marcelin would be the classic Columbus student.
Yep.
He would be.
Yep.
At the very order of the school he created, he'd fit right in. Yep. A little bit lost, a little rough around the edges, not yet smart, all those things, but dedicated and a good person in here. And it's our job to get that goodness from in here and get it out and then pass it forward. Well, listen, man, you're going to do great.
Thank you.
You know, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and here you are. And, you know, we're very excited for you. We're very happy for you. And the community is looking forward to seeing what Eric Pino is going to bring to the next wave of campus ministry, faith and mission. So thank you for taking the time to do this. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And I think the best is yet to come for Eric Pino and Columbus High School.
Thank you, John.
Well, thank you, my brother. Always good to see you. And I will see you again soon. I'd like to get on an encounter this year, try to make that happen. But Explore Nation, I hope you've enjoyed episode 1 of season 7. Lucky number 7 got off to a good start. So until next time, we got some great guests this year. Melissa and I are working hard on this. And thank you again to the Bartholomew family. So until next time, boys, buenos tiempos and adelante. Thanks, Eric.
Later. Thank you.